So in the last lecture, we made sure that we can again add places and view them. But what if we want to click a place? Right now we get an error because we're not handling this onItemSelected event here. Now let's handle it and let's make sure that we actually push a new screen onto our stack of screens, which shows us the details about this place. Conveniently, we already got a place detail screen. It's a modal though, and we could still use a modal, nothing wrong with that, but I want to show you something new. So I'll actually edit place detail.js and no longer use a modal here, just going to remove the wrapping modal content and remove the modal import therefore. And hence we'll just have this normal view. I can now also break up this workaround we used before, where we would need this hack here to ensure that our modal content isn't loaded too early. So let's remove that and the if statement and the variable. And now we got some code which we can use as a screen. Now, if our goal is to use this as a screen though, we should also move it from components into screens. So here I'll add place detail as a screen now. So it's still a React component, but now in the screens folder. Now this component is just a functional component. It's not a class and it doesn't have to be. We might turn it into a class later, but for now it's fine as it is. I'll just rename this here from modal container to container because we're no longer in a modal, I guess. So let's rename it down there in our style sheet too. And one other thing I want to do is I'll get rid of this close button. We won't close it like this. It will just be a regular screen. So we still get props with selected place and so on. The question is, how do we get this selected place? Well, we'll come back to this. Let's now see how we can load this screen first of all. Now for that we need to register it. So in app.js, let's register it as a new screen. So I'll add navigation, register component, and as before, give it a unique identifier. So awesome places, place detail screen to stay in line with the other screen names. Then we need to import it to be able to load it. So here I'll import the place detail screen from source screens, place detail, and then add it to this generator function here, the place detail screen. And I won't pass store and provider because right now I don't really need Redux here. This might change, but for now I'll keep it as it is. So now I want to push this component on the stack of pages when we click on a place. We can learn how this works in the documentation of our React Native navigation page. There you can go to the Screen API and you will find this push method. This basically allows you to push a new screen because React Native navigation automatically manages a stack of pages for every app you started. Keep in mind the app, it was started with start tab based app or start single screen app. Push simply adds a new page. So you can think of all your navigation happening in a stack of pages now. And the topmost page is always the one which is visible, and you can push and pop pages to determine what should be visible right now and where the back button would lead to. The cool thing is, React Native Navigation automatically gives you a special prop you can use, the Navigator prop, which exposes this push method and all the other methods which are documented here. So definitely dive into these. I'm interested in the push method. So on find place, if I click on a place, which I do in the place list ultimately, I get onItemSelected, and when this occurs, I want to push a new page. So I'll add onItemSelected to my place list component. And in my find place screen, I'll add the item selected handler. I'll get the key of the item which was selected because that is passed back from the place list here. And in find place, I can now access this props navigator as we just saw in the documentation of React Native navigation and call push. And now we see that push simply takes a JavaScript object where we at least specify the screen we want to push to. We can also define the title of the upcoming screen and so on. So I'm going to pass a JavaScript object here with the screen property and load awesomeplaces.placeDetailScreen, the screen we just registered. I'm also going to set a title, and the title should be the place name. Well, I can do this by simply getting the name of the item which has this key, the name of the place which has this key. For this, we already got the places array, so I can simply say this props places, which fetches all places I have in Redux, and simply find the place which has this key. So this will run on every place in this array, and it should return true if the place key is equal to the key I got here. On the result, so on the place I found, I now want to fetch the name. If we have a look at our store, our places reducer, we add a name and an image property to every place we add. And I'm accessing the name now in find place. I want to set it as a title. We also need to pass some information into the upcoming screen though, so into the place detail screen. And if we have a look at the documentation, we see that there is this pass props property. As the name suggests, this allows us to pass some props. So we simply define any JavaScript object of our choice, which will be passed as props into the new screen. They will be merged with your regular props. So here I want to pass my place, the selected place, let's say, because that's what I already use as a prop in my place detail. I'm trying to access prop selected place already. So now I'm setting a selected place prop, and I want to set this place I found here. So to not duplicate the code, let me cut this logic here and execute it right at the start. So that's the cell place for selected place. And I access cell place name here as a title, and I pass the selected place as a prop to the upcoming page. So now with that, let's see if that works, and let's connect our onItemSelected prop with this itemSelected handler. So the handler we just worked on. With that, let's save all files and let's go back and reload our page. Let's log in on iOS and share a place, Munich. Let's find the place and click on it. And this is what I meant. We get this beautiful navigation and the back button automatically added by React Native Navigation. We can go back and forth, and as you see, it correctly loaded our place. So the props were passed correctly. The delete button won't work yet, but the rest is working just fine. So that's awesome. With that, we got a working application on iOS. Let's also try it on Android. So let me add Mumbai here, add this, and go to find place. Whoops, didn't click the button. Now I did. And you see, we get a different navigation style here because we're on Android. So we get the Android back and forth style here. And that's pretty awesome. So with that, we got this push navigation in place. And you can go as many levels deep as you want. So we could push another page on that stack and go deeper and deeper and deeper. You can always go back, and you can use all these other methods here, like for example pop to root to remove all pages and go back to the root page. We'll actually do this in the next lecture.